So a couple weeks ago, I was attending an event, and me and another guy who's local to my area got in a conversation, and I was basically thanking him for his encouragement years ago to go ahead and buy a tractor for my homestead. We started off our homestead with a 1970s-ish Massey Ferguson that we bought really cheap, and for a tractor at least anyway during the time. And, it worked well for us, but it came to a point where we need a tractor. With the land we have and the chores that we have, we need a tractor. And so he's like, Zach, interest rates are at 0%, 0 down, 0 monthly or 0 payments for 6 months. Go get a tractor. And so, and a couple of other people in the area had done likewise. They had gotten the tractor at those basically offers, at that offer. Anyway, so I did. We went and got a tractor, and they didn't give us the 0 payments for 6 months, but they did give us the 0 interest and 0 down. And I'm really, really happy I did, because 0 interest, guys, you will never see that again, probably in your lifetime. You're not going to see it. And I told him that. I said, you're not going to see it. Anyway, so he's a business owner. He is a small business owner. He runs his own business. And he's like, Zach, I really wish interest rates would go down. And I said, it's not going to happen. Interest rates are not coming down, guys. We need interest rates. In fact, I told him, I said, at a minimum, we need to go at least 2 points, 2 full points higher on the interest rates. He just shook his head like, that's just unbelievable. That can't happen. I said, yes, it has to happen. And in reality, it needs to go much higher than that. Paul Volcker back in the 1980s. Now stick with me here, because we're going to go through an article here. Stick with me. Paul Volcker back in the 1980s. He was the Fed chairman. Okay. He raised interest rates over 20%, or like at 20%, or maybe over. I don't even know what it was. It was like 20%. Guys, we're at like 5, and we have much higher inflation now than they had back then. I mean, it's not even close. See, the way you stop inflation is you raise interest rates at a percentage level above what inflation is. But the problem is we have a government that lies to us about the numbers. They're telling you that, inflation's maybe at 2%, 1%. It's not year over year. It's not that high. But the reality is, you're going to the store, you're shopping, you're buying things, and you know darn well that it's higher than 1 or 2%. So they can say whatever they want. But see, I've used this example before, like a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago, a 1 gallon bottle of vinegar, 5% acidity, cost me 98 cents. Today, it's over $5. Now, I'm not an expert in math. I'm not a, career mathematician. But I think basic elementary school math teaches me that's 500% increase from just 3 years ago. So that's just a down. All the prices are going up. So they're lying to you. All of these numbers that you're seeing out there in the mainstream, they're lies. All lies. So don't believe anything they're telling you. Interest rates need to skyrocket in order to stop this inflation, but they won't do that because the banks are on the verge of collapse. They're over leveraged. If they raise interest rates any higher, or at least too much higher, banks are going to fail. They're over leveraged. They will fail. And if they cut interest rates, all that does is send inflation back into overdrive, which we're already going there. And this is why I've said before in my videos, and some people balk at this is already a mathematical certainty. We will see hyperinflation. You will see hyperinflation in your lifetime. It's a mathematical cake that is already baked. It's end of story, end of list. You will see hyperinflation. There is no other way out of this. For the sole purposes, Congress won't stop spending money, and the Fed won't stop printing it. They're addicted. They're like heroin addicts. That's their cocaine. They've got to have the fix. And that's why everyone's like clamoring for lower interest rates. Let the cocaine flow again. And you can't. Because the people, what happens when you push that button, torches and pitchforks, tar and feathers, and these people they love the gravy train. But the gravy train is over. You're going to face an economic collapse. And at this point, I don't really see that as a bad thing, because that's the only way we're going to avert the control that they want to enact amongst the people. Because when you can't pay your minions to assert their control, your control through the minions, you can't assert your control. Minions have to be paid. All right, so let's go into this article. Here we go. From thebusinessinsider.com. Now, I'm using the India version because the US version is behind a paywall, because everybody wants your money these days. Americans are turning to gardening, hunting, and extreme couponing to combat rising food prices. Americans are increasingly relying on unorthodox cost-cutting measures to ensure they continue to eat amid ongoing inflation and rising food prices. Now, why is this unorthodox? These things that they're about to talk about are not unorthodox. In fact, these are things that our ancestors and people who lived and came before us have done on a regular basis. This is something that is not abnormal, to civilization as a whole. Okay, only in the last couple of decades is this now unorthodox. It says recently U.S. consumers are spending more money on food than they have in the past 30 years, the Wall Street Journal reported last week, citing data from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Americans spent 11.3% of their disposable income on food in 2022, more than they have since 1991. I think that's a low number. Restaurant prices were up 5.1% in January 2024 compared to the same month last year, and grocery costs jumped Get this, folks. Grocery costs jumped a whole whopping 1.2% in the same time period. That is a lie. That is an absolute lie. That's wrong. That's a lie. But where are they getting this from? The Journal reported citing Labor Department data. This is Joe Biden's Labor Department. The Labor Secretary appointed by Joe Biden is lying through their teeth and telling you that grocery costs have only jumped 1.2% in a 1-year time period. Absolute lies. Lies. Even as the inflation that rocked the economy last year begins to settle. The inflation is settling, folks, don't you know? Food prices are continuing to climb. Well, wait a minute. How are food prices continuing to climb if inflation is beginning to settle? Previously, Business Insider previously reported, with common ingredients such as beef and sugar reaching sky-high prices on the grocery shelf. Yeah, see, that sounds like inflation is settling for sure. Dining out options are also on the spendy side as restaurants raise prices and cut portion sizes to stay in business. I saw an article yesterday talking about how a trip to McDonald's in some parts of the country now will run you over $30. He's like, that's pizza prices. That's what you pay for a large pizza, not fast food McDonald's, which really isn't fast. It's not really food at all. You're just paying for fake food that fills your stomach full of a bunch of poisons and chemicals. I mean, McDonald's 30 years ago may have been, sort of semi-food, but today it's not food at all. But yeah, and they're charging you pizza prices. It's absolutely insane. Elevated food costs are likely here for the long haul, but as exorbitant food costs become the new normal, consumers are fighting back and coming up with their own ways to keep food on the table. The Journal collected hundreds of reader responses and compiled several cost-saving tips into a Tuesday story about how Americans are responding to rising prices. Many said they had taken a strict no eating out policy, while others are relying on couponing during their weekly grocery trips. Buying in bulk can keep prices low, as well as purchasing non-spoilable food, people told the outlet. A Las Vegas woman said that she and her husband have scaled back their creative cooking ideas in response to inflation. The couple has gone from regularly making ingredient-heavy meals like chicken cacciatore, I don't know how you pronounce that. Maybe someone in the comments can spell it out for me, to relying on staples like tuna noodle casserole, she told the Journal. It's just egg noodles, canned tuna, canned cream of mushroom soup, onions, and garlic. Sarah Smith told the newspaper, it's not healthy, but it's food. No, it's not. If you take a look back on the back label of that canned cream of mushroom, or probably even those some of these other things you're eating, That canned cream of mushroom, I would almost guarantee you, has made with bioengineered ingredients labeled on the back underneath the list of ingredients. Most soup cans now, all are made with bioengineered ingredients. I don't want any part of that. I will not put that stuff in my home. I will not feed that to myself or to my children. Bernard Brothman, a retired HR executive, told the Journal that he has upped his crop production in his community garden to supplement grocery store produce. He spends about $200 on fertilizer and seeds for the food he grows, but ultimately ends up saving hundreds of dollars on groceries when his kale, carrots, squash, and tomatoes are in seed. What is he spending on fertilizer? I mean, I don't know, unless he's buying all chemical fertilizer, but that seems like a lot. Unless he's going out and buying some really expensive rabbit manure or whatever, I'm not sure. Other people are going back to basics, relying on the hunter-gatherer instincts of our ancestors. Nancy Randall and her Houston family of 6 save money by harvesting their own food. They eat the deer they hunt and the fish they catch, typically bringing home 8 deer a year, which they freeze and process into venison and tamales, Randall told the Journal. The family can typically sustain themselves on the meat for the year and don't have to shell out for protein at the grocery store. So people returning to gardening and hunting. It's like, guys, if you've been, a subscriber to my channel for, the last number of years, you're ahead of the curve. Because that's what we do here. If you're a homesteader, that's what we do here. See, when times get tough, people will revert back to what people have done for thousands of years. This economy is absolutely in trouble. This is why I tell people, going back to metals, whenever economies collapse, they always go back to gold and silver. And they'll try different things as ways of, avoiding that inevitability, but that's where it's going to go. Zimbabwe, I talked about them not that long ago, but Zimbabwe has tried to go back to a gold-backed currency. The problem is it's not working. Why? Because the gold-backed currency is not redeemable or transferable in actual physical metals. You can't take, whatever equivalent of 1 ounce of gold in currency and take it to the bank and get the gold. So it's not going to work. But it's gold backed. Well, it's not gold backed unless I can take the currency into the bank and get the gold. But see, that's eventually where it leads to. You must get to a point where history shows this over and over again. You can't deny this. One country after another, one economy after another, all throughout history, when they collapse, they go back to a transferable gold and silver backed currency, because that's the only thing that holds value. And people are like, well, one day we're going to throw our gold in the streets, and so it won't matter. I'm not going to have any. Until that day, you have bills to pay and mouths to feed. So it just is what it is. So you can deny what the reality is all you want, but what do you think? Leave a comment below. We're going back to hunting and gathering. Going out there, raising some meat, harvesting some meat, and growing some vegetables, some veggies. Oh, good grief. That's the inevitable. That's where we're headed, because we have a system that can't be fixed at this point. And the things that do require it for it to be fixed, the people do not have the backbone to implement. They don't. So leave a comment below. Hey guys, check out our merchandise over at Perfect Pickler. Everything that ships right now is shipping with a seed packet of cabbage from ClearwaterValleyFarms.com. If you need seeds for this growing season, right now is the time to get your seeds for growing season. Go to ClearwaterValleyFarms.com. I'm going to be doing a video coming up on why I don't use another seed company located here in the Ozarks. They have just absolutely gone off the rails. Years ago, I saw this and I switched over to ClearwaterValleyFarms.com. Every Perfect Pickler kit gets a free packet from Clearwater Valley Farms because I love that company. It's a family, home-based business, and I want to support them as they grow their business. Also, you can check out our merchandise over at teespring.com. You can find our Stupid Shit Hurt shirt. If we had more hurt in this world, we'd have an awful, awful lot less stupid. Oh, and we got a lot of it right now. Also, one more time, these PDFs, these herbal extract PDF booklets, if you buy these online, you're going to pay $800 for one and $900 for the other over at Amazon.com. I'm giving you the access to these latest, the 3rd edition of these PDFs for joining my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. If you join at higher levels, I appreciate that because you're supporting the homestead. But I'm giving you these things and access to all kinds of other stuff and even giveaways at higher levels. So go over to patreon.com/AnAmericanHomestead, link in the description below, and I'll give you access to these herbal extract books. This is not how to make tinctures. It's why you make tinctures. All right, guys. See you next time in the homestead. Bye. Have you ever gone to a health food store and seen all those small bottles of probiotics in your cooler section? Man, can they be pricey. Are you really getting all you need to improve your gut health from those expensive bottles? How viable are they? Most of those products claim to give you between 8 and 15 strains of gut-healthy healing bacteria. Think of each strain of bacteria as a different factory in your gut. Each factory is responsible for breaking down that food in its own way. The more factories you have, the more the food is broken down and the easier the food is absorbed and digested by the body. A 2018 study published by the National Library of Medicine shows that one fermented head of cabbage can produce up to 114 strains of beneficial bacteria. That's a lot more food factories than you're getting from that expensive pill bottle. And that's just cabbage. Imagine the probiotics when you add garlic, onions, pepper, and more to that ferment. PerfectPickler.com and its home fermentation kits provide you with everything you need to get started making your own gut-healthy food factories from the comfort of your own kitchen. PerfectPickler.com even provides a jam-packed recipe book with many of our kits. Visit PerfectPickler.com and start fermenting your own veggies to begin your journey to better gut health. That's PerfectPickler.com. Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of An American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. I'll wait.